A circle and a line can intersect in 3 ways. So the first way is not at all. And so we call this one no solution. The second one is they cross just one time. And so we actually call this line a tangent line. The place where it intersects is called the point of tangency. The second way is they can cross 2 times. And so this one crosses here and here. This is a line that we call a secant line, and you can tell that there are 2 distinct places where the line crosses the circle. You have done systems of linear equations, systems of linear inequalities, so you are fairly familiar with being able to find where a line crosses like another line or a parabola or something like that. And so you're actually going to do this kind of the same way. So you're going to start by solving both equations for y, put them in for y equals on the calculator, do second trace calc, which is then you're going to do your option 5 because that'll bring up a menu. So option 5 is your intersect button, and then you'll just find the place where they intersect. So on your first example, you have x squared plus y squared equals 36. So your first goal is to get both equations set equal to y. So this one is obviously not set equal to y. So you're going to say, okay, I have x squared plus y squared equals 36. I need to get y by itself, so I'm going to subtract x squared on both sides. So you end up with y squared equals 36 minus x squared. And then you want to get y by itself. So to get y by itself, you have to get rid of the squared. You're going to square root both sides. So when you do that, you end up with y equals, because you square rooted both sides, you have a plus and a minus, the square root of 36 minus x squared. This plus and this minus mean that you have 2 parts to that. You have y equals positive square root 36 minus x squared, and you have y equals negative square root 36 minus x squared. Now your other equation is y equals 6. This is obviously your line because it is similar to y equals mx plus b. So there's your horizontal line that you'll graph. That'll be your third equation that you're going to put into the calculator. So the first equation represents your circle. Your circle will be graphed in 2 parts, one that does the top, one that does the bottom, and then your next equation will be your line. So to do this, you're going to go to your calculator. On the calculator, you're going to go to y equals, clear out anything that may be there already. For your first equation, it was the square root of 36 minus x squared. The second equation was negative square root 36 minus x squared. And your last equation was y equals 6. So whenever you graph it, you can see that there's the top part of your circle, there's the bottom part of your circle, and there's your line where they intersect. So to find the place where they intersect, this one obviously looks like it crosses just one time. So you're going to hit second trace, which is your calc button. Do 5. When it says first curve, it just means it's the line that you graphed first. So if you look, it's blue on mine, which means that that is the first line. So I hit enter. For second curve, obviously the line does not cross. If you see this line, it does not cross that part, so you can skip that part. So you're going to hit the down arrow to get to that line, and then hit enter. Enter again, and it gives you an intersection of 0, 6. So your place where you intersect is at 0, 6 for this one. For your second example, you have x squared plus y squared equals 25, so that's your circle. This one has a center at 0, 0 because I don't have an h or a k. Your second equation is negative x plus y equals negative 1, so I can switch this one around to make this a linear equation. So I'm going to start with x squared plus y squared equals 25, and my goal is to get the y by itself, so I'm going to subtract x squared from both sides, and I end up with y squared equals 25 minus x squared. I want to get the y to be by itself, so right now it's squared. I need to get rid of a squared by doing a square root. So I'm going to have y equals plus or minus the square root of 25 minus x squared. So I'm going to have one equation that is y equals the positive square root 25 minus x squared. And I'm going to have another equation where I have y equals the negative square root of 25 minus x squared. To get my third equation, I'm going to get y by itself on this one by adding x to both sides. So I end up with y equals negative 1 plus x. So my third equation is y equals negative 1 plus x. So then I can go to the calculator, go to y equals, and clear out anything that's in y equals already. For y1, I'm going to do the square root of 25 minus x squared. For my y2, I'm going to do the negative square root of 25 minus x squared. And for the third equation, I'm going to do negative 1 plus x, and then graph. So remember, your circle will graph in two parts, and then your line will go through your circle. This one crosses 2 times, so I'm going to go second trace, 5 for intersect. I'm going to get close to where the line crosses the top part. Hit enter. And then we're talking about the first part of the circle. So I want to make sure that when my second curve question comes up, that I'm blinking on the line that goes through the top part of the circle. So if you hit the down arrow, it should take you to that line. So then you hit enter there. Last one's always an enter. So your first intersection is at 4, 3. So you have two intersections. One is at 4, 3. And the other you find by doing the same process. So you're going to do second trace, option 5. This time though, you want to hit the down arrow so that you end up on the bottom part of the circle. And you want to get close to the place where the line crosses the bottom part of the circle. Hit enter. For the second curve, you want to make sure that you're on that line that goes through the circle. So you hit enter. Guess is always an enter, and you get an intersection of negative 3, negative 4. So your intersections are at 4, 3, and negative 3, negative 4. For your last example, so this one I know was on one of the released versions of the test. So it says a circular pond is modeled by the equation x squared plus y squared equals 225. A bridge over the pond is modeled by a segment of the equation x minus 7y equals negative 75. What are the coordinates of the points where the bridge meets the edge of the pond? So if you were thinking about this, it tells you that you have a circular pond. Really? You have a circular pond. You have a bridge that goes over the pond, and so obviously the bridge is going to cross the pond in two places. One at the beginning of the pond, one at the end of the pond. So you're going to start by taking your circle equation, x squared plus y squared equals 225, and you're going to solve this one for y. So you're going to subtract x squared on both sides. So that means you're going to end up with y squared equals 225 minus x squared. Square root both sides. So you're going to end up with y equals plus and minus the square root 225 minus x squared, which means that you're going to have two equations, one for the first part of the circle, which is positive square root 225 minus x squared, and one for the second part of the circle, which is y equals negative square root 225 minus x squared. So then you're going to do the line, which is x minus 7y equals negative 75. So the first thing you're going to do is get x or y to be by itself by jumping then x to the other side. So you're going to get negative 7y equals negative 75 minus x. Divide both sides by negative 7. And whenever you do that, you're going to end up with y equals positive 75 over 7. And then positive x over 7. So remember that a negative divided by negative makes the positive. So you'd end up with positive 75 over 7 and positive x over 7. So you have your three equations now that you're going to plug into your calculator. So you go to the calculator, go to y equals, and clear out anything that's in y equals. So for the first equation, you're going to have the square root of 225 minus x squared. For the second equation, you're going to have negative square root of 225 minus x squared. And for the third equation, you're going to have alpha y equals, to get the fraction, 75 over 7. Jump out from underneath the fraction, plus alpha y equals again to get the second fraction, x over 7, and then hit graph. So when you graph it, it's going to go off of your graph because your graph is so big. So you're going to go to zoom, and you're going to go to zoom 0, which should be zoom out or zoom fit. So do 0. So now you probably want to do zoom out, so you do 3 and then hit enter, and you can get kind of an even better picture. So you can definitely tell that it crosses 2 times. So you're going to do second trace 5. You want to be on the top part of the circle, so get close to where the line crosses the circle. Hit enter. This one takes you to the bottom part of the circle, but if you look, nowhere does that line that goes through it cross the bottom part of the circle. So you're going to hit the down arrow to get to the third equation, which is the line. So you're close to where you cross, so you hit enter. Guess is always an enter. And you get an intersection of negative 12, positive 9. So one of your answers is going to be at negative 12, positive 9. You have another one because this is a bridge that goes all the way across. So you want to do second trace again, do option 5 again, scroll over to the place where it looks like the top of the circle intersects the line. So you hit enter. Second curve is going to be the bottom part of the circle, which the line never crosses. So you're going to hit the down arrow so that you're on the line. Hit enter again. Guess is always an enter. So you get a positive 9, positive 12.